What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Think Different Theory. My name is Josh Forti, and another interview here today. Very excited for this one. As you guys know, when we go and do these interviews, we vet the people that we bring on quite a bit. In fact, we have probably 3 to 7 people per week hit us up and be like, hey, I'm a great fit for your show. Let me on. I've got this story. I get people commenting all the time that I should have them on the show. I've had people offer to pay me to be on the show. And one of the things that's really important to me, and you guys know this, I've talked about it a lot, is the quality of the person that we're bringing on. Either A, they have to have a really good backstory, be a good storyteller so that, you're entertained, you're engaged or whatnot. And if we're teaching something, they need to be credible. And it's really important for me to do our background, and we vet people, make them go through an application process, or I've known them for a while and do that. And so whenever, you guys can rest assured, knowing that when you come on here, you can trust what it is that you're listening to. And anybody that has a super controversial opinion or something that's way out there, we had somebody talking about the carnivore diet, right? I'm very, very transparent that I don't endorse those things. I'm just there for the educational purpose of them. So my next guest, though, is someone who I've known for probably a year and a half or so now. He interviewed me in his group. He has a software, which we're actually going to talk about this a lot. And I absolutely love it. And the one thing that I noticed about his software is that it's very clean, it's very sharp, very user friendly. And I'm all about brand. I'm all about the customer experience. I'm all about how things are perceived and things like that. And I think he does a very, very good job with that. And so I'm really looking forward to interviewing him here and getting to dive in a little bit further. And we're going to talk about how he got Russell Brunson to promote him and just all sorts of really cool stuff with this software. So without further ado, let's bring him on here. Mikael. Right? Mikael. Gosh, I'm going to get it down. Mikael Dia. Man, welcome to Think Different Theory, man. How you been, man?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have a chat with you.
Yeah, man, for sure. So first off, congratulations on Russell Brunson promoting Funnelytics. And I want to say, probably more congratulations on building a freaking awesome product, right?
Thank you.
Because obviously Russell and any big influencer wouldn't promote it unless it was really, really good. So congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. Lots of people keep saying thank you or congratulations, and they're hitting me up. They're sending me messages, but for me, even the day that it was live, the team and I are just it's business as usual. We've got this mission. We're trying to keep building, and I love that everybody loves our tool, but we've got so much more that we want to do. And this is just a little thing within this bigger scope of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, when you take a step back, you're like, yo, Russell Brunson just actually promoted it, but literally put it in his whole funnel. And it's man, that's really awesome. Cause I'm like you, I grew up, I learned everything from Russell, and so it's huge. It's huge from that standpoint. But yeah, it's just business as usual.
How long have you guys been? By the way, for those of you wondering what the heck are we talking about, Mikael runs Funnelytics, which is well, why don't you tell us what Funnelytics is?
Yeah. So we started Funnelytics 2 years ago in January of 2018, and it basically it's a mapping tool that allows you to map out your marketing funnels, and then you can click a button and see how people flow through it. And the reason I started it was really simple. If you're watching the video of this, then you can see behind me I have this whiteboard, and as a marketer, what you do is you use boxes and squares and circles and arrows to kind of explain this is what's going to happen, right? I got an ad that's going to go to a page, and then people are going to receive emails, and you kind of diagram it all out on a whiteboard or a piece of paper or whatever. And then you're kind of stuck looking at data and numbers through charts and graphs. And I hate that shit. I'd rather bash my head against the wall than to actually try and decipher what's working, what's not. I just drew this thing. So what I decided to do was, wouldn't it be really cool if I could have this tool where I could just drag and drop on a canvas on my computer, map out all of my customer journeys and all that good stuff, and then just click a button and visually see how people are flowing through these things, where the break points are, and what my conversion rates, and not have to look at charts, not have to look at graphs, just get a snapshot of how is my funnel performing. And that's what we built. That's what we built over the last 2 years. We're continuously building it, adding more features. But yeah, that's been the kind of premise of what Funnelytics was built around.
That's awesome, man. And for those people that have been listening to the podcast for a while, you guys know how much I love whiteboards. Like, I mean, they are my jam. I have an 8 foot wide, 4 foot tall, double-sided one right here. I've got another one that's probably what, 3.5 feet wide, 3 feet tall. So like whiteboards all over the place. I love it. But I really do. I've been using Funnelytics for, I don't know, ever since we met. I kind of go through it. I'm not someone that like uses it for everything, but it's so helpful to actually be able to go. And what I typically do is I'll draw it out on the whiteboard first so I can kind of see everything. And then I take that and I put it in Funnelytics and I'll take it and I'll send it to my team and be like, this is what we need to do, right?
Exactly.
Like, this is it. Like, that's really what it is. And then when you added I know Russell really liked the tracking feature with all of that. Do you know Alex Becker?
I do.
So, like, do you know him? Like, have you used his products?
I don't know him. I know of him and I know his products. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got Hydro, I think it's called.
Hyros.
Yeah, Hyros or whatever. Yeah, that's like True Track or something like that. Is there any inspiration there from that, or are there any features that you're like, oh, that's a cool? Because I kind of feel like, well, I'm sure his is very different because this is tracking the entire customer journey, and yours is much more focused on mapping out the flows of funnels and things like that, rather than maybe the entire customer journey. But I feel like there's some similarities there of tracking like where people go and mapping and outlining things and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the main difference is, Alex has built his tool and at least he positions it very much for people who run a lot of paid advertising, right?
Yeah.
Which is, where am I making my return on my ad spend if I'm running a ton of paid advertising? Because what happens with most paid advertising is something gets lost along the way, right? You'll click on an ad from Google on your computer, then eventually, 3 months later, you'll actually buy through your phone or something like that, right? And the ad itself won't attribute that sale because it's been too long and it happened through a slightly different device. And so you'll end up turning off that ad thinking that it didn't make you any money, but the reality is it did, right? It actually correlated to sales. So what he's built is a way to kind of connect all of that, but really tie it back into the ads and the revenue that you're making.
Yeah.
What I've done is we've built it to allow you to visualize how people move through your customer journey, right? Yeah. So see the picture of it. Our tracking platform isn't as in depth yet as his is in terms of like direct
correlation,
ROI.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But from a visual standpoint of like, when I can analyze my data, I can see that, okay, here's my real drop-off point. Like, here's a problem within my funnel. You can't do that when you're looking at charts and graphs and spreadsheets, right? All you see is I spent this much, I made this much back. When you're looking at a spreadsheet on an Excel sheet, that's all you kind of get. But like, why? Why did I make this much back? What was it? These 3 blog posts that, when you can visualize it on a canvas or on a whiteboard, you can say, okay, the people who open up these 3 emails and also read these 3 blog posts are 10 times more likely to purchase than the people who don't read blog post number 3 or something along those lines. And now you can look at and visualize that as opposed to, just go back from the source to the,
to the ROI,
the revenue, right?
Yeah.
So take, the ultimate product, and that's where we're going towards, is take his technology of the source and the actual revenue, and now put it into a map, right? Now you can see the whole customer journey, but you can attribute your ads, you can attribute your data. And that's what we're working towards.
That's super cool. I like that. How did you come up with the idea for this? Because like, I feel like one of the things I feel like in the entrepreneurship space is we all have a lot of good ideas, right? Everyone's got the $1 million idea. It's all about execution. But software is one of those tricky things where there's a lot of upfront cost, right? Because you gotta front it. So you're either out of your own pocket, or there's debt, or there's an investor of some sort. But like, in order to really know if people are going to use it, like, you can do validation and run polls and ask people if there's real problems. But I mean, you've got to have a good product, and you're really not going to know if people are going to use it until after it's built. Right.
Yeah.
So like, how did you come up with the idea of this, and like, what made you pull the trigger to be like, all right, this is what we're doing?
Yeah. So it's a good question. I actually came up, so I started this whole like funnel stuff back in about 2012, actually. I ended up running a Mandarin language school, which is kind of funny because I I don't speak Chinese. I've never been to China in my life. But myself and a business partner ended up starting a Mandarin language school in London, in the UK, actually. And I'm in Toronto. I live in, I'm Canadian.
Oh wait, you're from you're Canadian? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was born in Montreal, grew up in Toronto.
Are you quarantined right now?
I am quarantined.
So you're not going out any. Sorry, we'll come back to your story. I got a sidetrack here real quick. I just got to ask: is it crazy up there? Like, are people freaking out?
It's the same. It's the same shit.
Yeah,
like, people are freaking out. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, we just closed our borders with you guys.
Yeah,
recently, and no, everybody's quarantined. Everybody's kind of like, it's not. You're still allowed to go outside, but like, it's frowned upon.
Yeah, it's frowned
upon.
Stage,
right? It's like social distancing and all that stuff.
Well, dude, in California, and I know this is a little bit, we're a little bit ahead here since this particular episode is pre-recorded, but yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, something like that, there's martial law in California, and there's curfew. It's a misdemeanor if you go out past curfew.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
what the crap? That's ridiculous.
This is the world we're living in right now.
This is insane. It's insane. Anyway, sorry, back to the story there. So
yeah, so I mean, I started this. I had the idea back in about 2013 when I was kind of running this Mandarin language school. I was also doing some side consulting. I was learning about funnels from Russell Brunson. I learned about Russell Brunson back in like early 2012, late 2011, when he was still running like an offer called .com Secrets X and all that stuff. He was still doing his like daily sketches.
Yeah, that was like forever ago.
That was a long time ago.
Moly.
And I started consulting people on funnels, and I started consulting people on this stuff, and I kept whiteboarding stuff out. And the idea, I wrote actually in a notebook. I don't have it here. It's at my office, but I wrote in a notebook, Project Game Changer. And then like, it was a headline, and I was like, map, track, and analyze funnels. Like, that was back in 2013. That was the original kind of seed idea, but I kind of left that aside for a really long time. And then I ran an agency, my own funnel agency, from 2015 to 2018, basically. And while I was running my agency, taking on clients, I was like, man, I really wish I had this tool right now. Like, I just want this thing. And it got to the point where my agency was doing pretty well. We were profitable. We were making pretty good money. So I decided to start investing some of those profits into developing a prototype, really for myself. Like, I really had no idea. But in order for me to bootstrap it properly, and in order for me to prove the concept, I did something that I guess most SaaS companies don't, most software companies don't do. So, Funnelytics has kind of two levels to it. It's the mapping tool itself, which is free, and then the analytics stuff, so you can see the data on top of your funnel map. So when I originally launched it, I started off with the mapping tool, which was free, and I decided, okay, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
that's kind of when we first started chatting. So I started off with this free mapping tool, and for about 2 months, all I did was run Facebook ads. I spent a total of like, I think it was just under $10,000, like $9,000, again, kind of taking some money from my agency. And I just promoted this free mapping tool, for Facebook ad to this free mapping tool. And then what I did is I brought every one of those people into a Facebook group. I moved them all into a Facebook group. And within about 2 months or so, I had 6,000 people who signed up to this mapping tool, spent about 10 grand, 6,000 people signed up to this mapping tool, and about 3,000 of those people went into this Facebook group. And for the course of those 2 months, I was giving them value. I was telling them about my journey, sharing, lessons about funnels and all that stuff. But I was also giving them sneak peeks of this analytics tool. And I knew that our analytics tool was not ready at all. Like, it was pure prototype. Like, it wasn't going to work for a long time. And instead of going and saying to people, all right, let me just kind of, you can try it for free, or let me get a few user groups for free, or even like try to sell a typical SaaS model on a monthly basis, because I knew people would just churn after a few months because it wasn't ready.
Right.
I said, all right, let me sell these people a lifetime license to this tool. Let me sell it for $500 US. and basically buy my lifetime value up front, right? I know that these people won't stick for much more than 6 months. So let's assume the tool is $100 a month. They're not going to stick. So let me just tell them they can get lifetime access for it, but they have to pay me up front now. I thought that I would get maybe 100 people, maybe. Like that was my goal. And I gave myself about a week. I was going to do a promo for about a week to try to get as many people. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get 100 people. I got 305 people to sign up in 48 hours.
Wow.
We made $200,000 and instantly, just like that. And I was like, I guess people want this thing.
Right.
So
how did you? So I think one of the big issues that entrepreneurs have is like making decisions and following through with them. Right. It's like, how do I choose? Right. Like, what am I going to choose to do? Like, how did you decide? Yeah, let's go buy the lifetime up front, right? Like, how do you decide? Like, okay, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do here. Because how old are you?
33.
33. And how big's your platform? How many users you got on Funnelytics?
110,000 people.
110,000 people, right? So like you have to make decisions, and I would assume that you were not qualified when you started this, right?
No, I've never written a line of code in my life.
Right. So you're like, hey, I'm gonna go start a software company, and then you go out and find a coder, and then you put your own money behind it, and then you go and you're like, hey, let's see if we can do a beta round. Let's try to make 50 grand, and we make 200. You make 200 grand, right? Like, so you just go and you just kind of see that. Talk to me about the mindset behind that, because I think like someone like you and I, we're not afraid to take risks. At least I'm not, and I don't think you are either, right? Based on that, you'd have to not be, because you built this, right? Or maybe not afraid might not be the right word. We're just not worried about the consequences. We're taking calculated risks. We're willing to take the risk.
Correct.
Why is that? Like, what goes through your head to make you decide this is a good idea?
It's not so much that I think it's a good idea as much as it is like, I knew Funnelytics was a good idea for me, right? I knew that it's something I wanted for that particular purpose. So in that particular example, I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't know if anybody else thought that this was a good idea. Like I had no clue. But as we started promoting the kind of mapping tool, and as I started kind of sharing little sneak peeks of like the analytics, right, through videos, and seeing the engagement that people had, made me kind of realize, okay, maybe there is something here. Now, in terms of pricing, in terms of like doing it up front, for me, I was just like, I really don't want a small number of like, I need money if I want to do this, right? Like if I want to stop my agency, I need to bring in some actual cash, and I need people to buy in properly. Like I need people to actually say, all right, I'm committed to trying this thing. And I know that like $29 a month is, for most people is like, oh yeah, okay, here you go, $29 a month, but it doesn't mean I'm going to do it or use it, or,
that's the big thing.
Forget, right? So I was like, okay, at least $500 is something that is going to get people to commit, right? And they'll buy in. The lifetime value is in itself, like I knew in the long run I was losing money, right? Like I knew I was like, this tool should probably at some stage be like close to $500 a month, not $500 forever
for lifetime access,
like,
right?
For a lifetime. So, it was just like you say, a calculated risk. Like I'm not the type of person who cares if shit doesn't work. Like failure is not real at the end of the day. Failure is just when you decide to stop pushing. And like, you've got to decide also, like, you've got to be smart enough to say, all right, well, this thing is not working, so therefore I'm going to stop pushing something that isn't actually going to ever work. And understand that. But if you don't push, then how do you know?
Yeah, right? I feel like people just, they haven't made the decision that this is actually what they're gonna do a lot of times, so right?
This is a good. I had a very interesting conversation with a guy a little. This is probably back in 2000 and I'm going to say 2011, something like that. Very beginning 2011, maybe 2010. I had a conversation with somebody that really changed how I see this and how I think about this. So I just graduated university as an engineer, and I hated it. I'm not a computer engineer, just civil engineering, like bridges and that kind of stuff. And you go to university as a 17-year-old kid, and you're like, how the fuck am I supposed to know what the hell I want to do with the rest of my life? Like, and now I got to choose a degree and like spend 4 years only studying that thing. And like, I didn't know. I was just like, I used to like building Legos as a kid, so maybe I'll build bridges. Like, I don't know.
Right.
So I went and I studied engineering, and like halfway through, I knew I didn't want to do it. But I stuck with it. I graduated, and then I spent 6 months working as an engineer. And I fucking hated my life. Like it was the worst, man. I knew I didn't want to do this. I was like, where's the future? What am I going to do? And at the time, I had a roommate, and he was working for an advertising agency. And the founder of the advertising, they were doing okay, like a pretty decent sized advertising agency, probably doing about 10 million a year or so. At the time, for me, that was like
astronomical amounts of money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $10 million a year. Like, what? And I was starting to think about like, online business. I was starting to think, I had started diving into the world of making money online. And that's a story for, we can dive into how I got into that world later. But I got a chance to sit down with him, and I asked him a question. I said, how did you know that advertising was your passion? How did you know that you wanted to start an advertising business? Because like, I know I don't want to be an engineer.
Right.
I think I want to be an entrepreneur and I build my own thing, but like, I don't know what I want to build. Like there's nothing I'm sitting here that I'm super passionate about that I really want to look at.
Yeah.
And he said, don't get it wrong, Mikael. Advertising is not my passion. And then he went on and he actually explained to me that there are really 4 things that drive him every single day. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? He's like, okay, the first thing that I really love is I love being surrounded by creative people who are smarter than me, right? That fulfills me every day. If I can get into a room and I'm surrounded by creative people who are smarter than me, I get excited, I get fulfilled. The second thing is I love working on new and dynamic projects that change all of the time, right? I love being able to do that. That fulfills me. That gets me excited every single day. I love to strategize with my team and turn ideas into reality. So as long as I can be strategic and I can ideate things and I can see them become reality, that fulfills me. That gets me excited. And the fourth thing is I love leading a team and getting the most out of people, motivating them, getting the most out of them. It just so happens that advertising fulfills these 4 things. But there's a lot of other things that I could have done.
Interesting. Yeah.
That fulfill these 4 things, right? And as soon as he said that to me, I was like, I see. So what you're saying is that passion is bullshit at the end of the day. Having that one thing is bullshit. What it is passion is truly composed of 4 things that fulfill you that you end up doing. So for example, if you're passionate about basketball, you're not really passionate about basketball. You're passionate about being active. You're probably passionate about camaraderie and having, being with a band of brothers and stuff like that. You're probably passionate about, I don't know, whatever else
goes along with basketball. Yeah.
Right. Basketball is the vehicle that fulfills these 4 boxes for you. So I went home that day and I sat down and I took out that same notebook actually. But I wrote down like, okay, I took it literally. Like when he said these 4 things, I took it literally. I was like, okay, what are my 4 things? What are my 4 core pillars? And I wrote down learn, build, advise, and invest. And I started saying, okay, if I can learn something new every day, like it fulfills me, even if I don't make money, like none of that matters. Whenever I pick up this book, .com Secrets or any of these books, and I get a new idea, it stimulates me. It gets me excited. It fulfills me, right? Same thing with building. And maybe that's why I went into engineering because like turning a random idea on a whiteboard and then seeing it live, like going through the steps and like, boom, this thing is actually real. That gets me super excited.
Yeah.
It fulfills me.
Sam Ovens is that way a lot too. He talks about that, how his favorite thing in the world is just building things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And like consulting.com is not Sam Ovens' passion per se, right? Like teaching people how to start an online business is not so much his passion as is building things. And then whatever other boxes, probably teaching is one of his or whatever it may be, right? Mentoring or so my third one is advise. Like if I can have these kinds of conversations, right? And it sounds like you also love kind of putting out content and love, influencing or getting people to that aha moment, right? And that kind of seems like it fulfills you, but that's something that fulfills me. It gets me super pumped up, right? Yeah. And then the fourth thing really comes down to investing my time, investing my energy, investing even my money, like going all in into something, right? And like, I'm not a gambler, but like just betting my time, my energy, my effort, my money into something ends up fulfilling.
I like that breakdown a lot. And I really like how you explain with the vehicle, like it is a vehicle that allows you to do something. And I think what you talked about here, what Sam Ovens and mentioning that, like it really goes. And I mean, I'm sure Steve Jobs was the same way, right? I'm sure he wasn't like, yeah, I'm super passionate about building phones, right? But at the end of the day, he built this thing, and the passion that he had for building things, the passion that you had for learning and building and advising and things like that leads you, because now you actually have this thing that you can do that on. And I think that, and that's what, for me with the podcast, with Think Different Theory, that's exactly what I love learning. That's like my favorite thing to do in the world. If I could literally just sit around and like learn and be a philosopher all day, that'd be so lit, right? That'd be like my favorite thing. I also really, really love teaching, right? That's probably my, my second thing there. And then really, I mean, those two are probably my own things. And then, but the third thing for me is
two more. It's four actually. So one of the things I've realized is I tried to do it with 3. I tried to do it with 5. 5's too many and 3's too little. Because here's what happens. A lot of times people lose a sense of fulfillment in their life, and they wonder why. So I have a buddy who was working this corporate job, and he was in this traditional whatever job, and he was pretty happy like overall with what he was doing. And then I asked him this exercise. I said, off the top of your head right now, from your gut, tell me what are your 4 core things that get you pumped up. And then one of them was adventure for him, like being able to be outdoors. He grew up in the country. He loves being outdoors, doing that stuff. And we live in Toronto, and like a big city. And I asked him, when was the last time you did, like the other 3 he was fulfilling all the time. But I was like, when was the last time you did anything that was fulfilled that adventure box? He's like, fuck, man, probably like 6 months ago. I was like, that's why you're miserable. That's why right now you're not feeling fulfilled. It's because you've forgotten that adventure is something that fulfills you, and you're not fulfilling that box, right?
Yeah. So I'd say learning, teaching, building relationships, I would say it would be 3. And then 4th one would be probably, I don't know if this counts or not, I don't know if there's a right or a wrong, but I like getting famous. Like I like people knowing who I am. Like I like exposure.
Influence,
yeah. Influence.
Being able to influence.
Yeah. I'd say probably those 4: learn, teach, build relationships and influence. Yeah, I'd say that.
And does this podcast feel like work to you?
No, that's why I do it.
But you see how all of a sudden this podcast, not only are you learning from all of your guests that are on this podcast, you're teaching your audience, you're also creating your influence and building a bigger network for yourself, and you're creating relationships with the people who come onto your podcast. Yeah. Which is why it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
Even if you didn't get paid, you would still do this because it fulfills you.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And that's why, and that's why, going back to what I said earlier about people just have to, like, they haven't decided that this is what they were going to do, right? Like if you make a mental decision that I'm going to go build X, That's fundamentally different than saying, "Hey, I'm going to go try to start an agency and make some money online." That's
Correct.
totally different. I committed. I was like, come hell or high water, whether I go broke or not, like I'm going to go build Think Different Theory. So if downloads are down or we're having a hard time doing something, it's not like, "Oh, this isn't working," or "It sucks." It's just like, "Oh, well, no, okay. Well, this isn't working. Let's adjust and change to figure out how we have to ultimately get there." And it's driven by those four things. And I think there's an underlying factor of I really like helping people. And I think that the teaching part of that and the relationship side of things kind of filters in through just
Absolutely
helping people as a general rule. That's super interesting. I really like that breakdown.
Yeah, I think most people forget, and this conversation, literally changed my life, right? And it made me realize that now, whenever I look at things, like I literally will take my whiteboard and I'll write these 4 boxes. So in your case, you'd have literally a quadrant here, and you have influence, learn, teach, and relationships. And then when you start thinking about new projects that you can take on, or whatever new opportunities arise, now you sit there and you say, as long as they stay, right? Because over time you'll start to realize, like, for example, for me, building has evolved. It's changed. It's no longer building for me. But you sit there and you say, am I going to build my relationships if I do this thing? Am I going to teach? Which box is it going to fulfill for me?
Huh.
And then the passion, the thing that drives passion, the one thing is that thing that fulfills all 4 boxes. But your goal is not to find that one thing. Your goal is to keep fulfilling your boxes, because you could wake up every day and, let's say, you doing a podcast didn't build relationships. Let's just assume, right? Or it does, but let's assume it didn't. You could just go every single day and create other ways to fulfill that box, and you'd still feel like your day has been fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right? You've had a lot of thing, a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So yeah, that's how I look at things, man. It's changed my course of evaluating opportunities. It's changed my course of trying to search for something. As long as it fulfills me, or it fulfills one of these boxes, then I just say yes, I'm going to do it.
So learn, build. What was the third one?
For me, it was learn, build,
Advise.
and invest.
Invest.
That's when I was a little bit. That's when I first started. Learn has actually changed. The word learn has changed to evolve. So the reason the word is very important, right? Because learn is internal. Like, I'm taking this book, I'm learning, right? And it's coming to me. Evolution is growth. It's me transforming from being a marketer to a CEO in my company, right? Evolving my mindset, evolving. So part of evolving is learning, right? And going to masterminds and all that stuff. But that's where it's changed. Same thing with build, for me, has changed to the word architect. I don't like building anymore. I don't enjoy tinkering with things. I like architecting. Like an architect, what does an architect do? They draw what the building's going to look like, but then the engineer goes and builds it, right? I don't like being that engineer anymore. I used to fulfill me. Now I like being the architect. I like sitting back and designing, what is this thing going to really be? And then having other people come in and build the pieces.
Yeah. And I think it's one thing that's important for people to understand is what you said right there, is like, you are going to evolve, right?
Yeah.
Like even those 4 things are going to evolve.
Absolutely.
Because I think a lot of people think, and I still struggle with this to a certain extent, with, trying to figure out branding and, everything like that. And I talk to my coach about this a lot. It's like, what if I change my mind? You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's that fear that if you pick something, it's like you can never change. And when you like realize and just like understand that, like, you're gonna grow, you're going to change, you should change, and you should grow and do that. I think that changes the game for a lot of people when they realize that.
You should. And as long as it keeps and forget like branding, like, man, the amount of courses that I've named, so many, like, to the point where people are like, Mikael, what the fuck are you selling again? Like, you last week it was called Ignite Funnel, and now this one's called Ignite Agency. And it's like, why are you using the same, like, the amount of times that has happened is just like, oh, fuck. But at the core, though, it always comes back to, look, Josh, are you creating influence? Are you influencing the world? Are you learning? Are you teaching people? And are you building relationships? At the core, if you fulfill those things, if you stay true to yourself, then it doesn't really matter what you do, as long as it keeps fulfilling those things. Because you're now going to do them at the best of your abilities and keep pushing because they fulfill you. They get you excited, right? Which is why Think Different theory is growing, and why you're able to get these awesome people on the show, and because it fulfills you. You just want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested. How do you learn this stuff? Because like,
good question.
Like, there's a lot of people in the world. And one of the things that I get accused of a lot is being insensitive or not looking at the full picture, because not everybody has the same opportunities as you, Josh. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm the one that like literally lived on my buddy's couch for 3 months and, you know, could barely make ends meet. And I was driving, you know, working 2 jobs and driving for Uber at night to make ends meet to figure out how to get here. But I think like there's a lot, you're 33, you said, there's a lot of 33-year-olds. An overwhelming majority of the 33-year-olds in the world do not have an understanding like you do, right? Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone that, you know, when they're 12 or 15 or 18 or 23 or 40 or like what, how do you ensure that you're going to continue to get smarter? How are you going to ensure that you're going to learn how to do these things? Because I think that one of the things that, like, you and I, we're smart. Like, we're smart people. But I believe that smart is a learned trait. I mean, I think some people are born with natural talents, right? Some people are just like, not everybody's Elon Musk, right? But like for the most part, being smart is a learned trait. But I don't think people know that, or I don't think people even know how to learn. So like, how did you learn how to learn? Or how would you advise people to go and do that?
I think it comes down to, number one, listen to Think Different theory. Like, that's why this exists, right? That's why you created this. That's why you named it Think Different theory, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's about consuming content that stimulates you, that gets you excited, right? Like, I'll be the first to admit, I enjoy sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. Like, there's no doubt. But I also have all of these books right here, and like, I enjoy reading things that stimulate me. That's why Learn is one of my pillars.
Yeah.
And the reality is, man, you can't teach something, or you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped, right? You can't like, those people who sit there and blame and say like, look, Josh, like, not everybody's had the same, you know, circumstances that you've had, or you have all these things. This is my situation. Those people are giving excuses at the end of the day. And I wish I had it here. It might be here. Oh yeah, it is here. As one of my good coaches tells me, fuck your excuses. Like, at the end of the day,
that's some Ryan Stewman right there.
That's some Ryan Stewman stuff, right? And like, Ryan's a good buddy of mine. He's one of my mentors.
We had him on the show.
He's awesome, man.
He's awesome.
He's a good dude. But it's true. Like, you know, some people just don't want. Some people want to live their 9 to 5, and they want to kind of complain, and that's, you know, that's them. That's just and like, fuck them. Like, that's it. And the people who do want to learn and want to evolve, what they're going to do is this. They're going to sit down and listen to this podcast. They're going to sit down and watch Gary Vaynerchuk videos or Russell Brunson videos or whatever it may be. Because just like you started with nothing, how did you evolve? Yeah,
you literally have to brainwash yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have to, I don't think people realize that they can rewire their mind. I really don't think people understand that concept. Like, when I wanted to go, and when I was at my low points and I was trying to figure things out, like, the only things I read were books like Psycho-Cybernetics, were books like Influence and the Power of Psychology, and like Joe Dispenza books. And like, I literally didn't let myself consume anything else, right? For a period of time in my life. And don't get me wrong, I watch, you know, Netflix as well, especially at night, right? Got The Office on, or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or something like that. You know what I mean? But like, not before I went and literally brainwashed myself into understanding and believing that there was a different way. And do you know Myron Golden?
Yep.
Okay, Myron, he gives one of the most powerful talks about belief, right? And I call it identity. It's the same concept, which identity is basically what you believe about yourself. But like, if you don't believe something is possible, if you fundamentally at the core of what you do, like, don't believe it, it's really, really hard for you to go out there and start to act upon that or try to have success with it. Because if you don't believe it's possible for you, then you're not going to act accordingly. But when you brainwash yourself and you don't allow yourself to consume anything that would hinder you from achieving your goal, something crazy starts to happen in your mind, I feel like. And it's like you start to have this shift that says, okay, I've seen it enough times now. I can start connecting the dots and connecting the pieces. Now I believe it's possible to happen. And when you do that, then amazing things can start to happen because your brain actually believes that it can be done.
So it's funny. I think, I was lucky that my dad definitely brainwashed me as a kid, and he taught me that there's literally, if you want to achieve anything in life, anything, there's 3 things that you have to do. Only 3 things. The very first thing is you have to have a very, very clear vision of what that thing that you want to achieve is. It's got to be very clear. So, for example, my dad is from West Africa. He became the very first black, like skin-colored black man to be a senior vice president of a major bank in Canada. The first one across all of Canada, of the Royal Bank of Canada. And that was his clear vision, right? He had that clear vision that I'm going to be the first like vice president of a bank who's actually not a white person.
Right.
And the second thing that you have to do is what you just said, which is you have to believe that vision with conviction, like that there is nothing that is going to stop me because I believe that I can make that thing happen. The minute you have doubt that that vision can be a reality is when you set back, right? Is when you find all of these roadblocks. The minute you believe, it doesn't matter what roadblock is in your way, you're going to find a way to keep going towards that vision.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is you have to take action. Because who cares if you believe? Who cares if you have a vision? But if you're just going to sit here and your vision is here and you're just going to sit there and believe that it's going to become a reality one day, but you don't take action, then who gives a shit, right? Nothing, and you don't move forward. So you've got to take action towards that thing. What happens is your plan doesn't work, right? The way that you thought that you would achieve that vision, the time frame that you thought you would achieve that vision, how you thought it would happen, never ends up happening the way that you planned it.
Yeah.
But because you had that vision, you never steered away from that vision. Even if you're deviating, even if you're moving towards this path here, and the people who are listening can't hear me, like imagine you're pointing up straight ahead of you. You're moving towards your left, but your eyes are always back straight ahead. You're eventually going to start veering back towards that thing, even if you get deviated from that path, right?
Yeah.
But you have to take action and you have to believe.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 things that matter. If you can keep those things in mind, anything is possible.
Well, and I think it's important that you clarified, or that you said, like, it's not going to look like what you thought it was going to look like, right?
No.
That the path is, and I mean, I kind of do want to transition a little bit into talking about how you ended up working with Russell, because I'm fascinated by that. But like I highly doubt you were like, yes, I am going to have Russell Brunson promote my product on the back of his Traffic Secrets launch, and that's what it's gonna like that, which is phenomenal. But I highly doubt, and correct me if I'm wrong here, like I don't think you envisioned that as you were going and building Funnelytics, or did you?
No, I mean, I don't think Russell knew that he was writing Traffic Secrets when I started Funnelytics.
Right.
So no, you know what though? I 100% believed that I would partner with Russell Brunson.
There you go. There it is.
At some point, right? When I first started Funnelytics, I named it Funnelytics because I knew that like I've got an opportunity. If I named it Funnelytics because yes, it makes sense in terms of what the software is, but also because I believe that one day Russell Brunson would partner with me. And like, I just started taking action towards that thing. Right. And I started moving towards that thing. Did I think it was going to happen in 2 years or like a year? I don't know. I didn't what I did in order for me to make this a reality. I not only use the terms that he uses, like funnel hacking. So we actually went and funnel hacked and remapped out a bunch of people's funnels inside of Funnelytics. We funnel hacked them. Then what we did is we actually created the ClickFunnels templates of those funnels, because I just decided to take action towards eventually one day partnering with ClickFunnels, right? I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew that it was going to happen. I fully believed it, and I just took action towards it. Did it happen the way I thought it was? Fuck no. Like, I had no idea. Dave Woodward called me up.
I was going to just say, how did it happen?
Yeah. So, Dave Woodward and I had a few chats. A lot of the ClickFunnels coaches were using Funnelytics to, I think at the time, I don't know if they still have it anymore, but they used to have a program called ClickStart. And that program helped you figure out what is the funnel that you're going to build. And then you just go and build it inside of ClickFunnels. And all of their coaches would sign up to Funnelytics and map out their clients' funnels inside of Funnelytics. We had 700 funnels built or designed in Funnelytics just from ClickFunnels.
Wow.
ClickStart students, or not even the coaches who were teaching. So I guess, eventually Dave, some of the coaches became part of our Funnelytics community. They started talking to Dave about Funnelytics and all that stuff. Then about 6 months, maybe the first time I spoke to Dave was about a year ago. And we just started jamming out, and he's just like, man, this Funnelytics thing, like, people seem to love it, like the tool itself, and our coaches love it. What are you doing with it? And, what are your plans, etc. Then that kind of, we stopped talking for a little bit. I kept working on my stuff. He kept, they kept doing their thing. And then literally a month ago, literally a month before the launch of Magic Secrets, Dave calls me up. He's like, yo, Mikael, we think that your Funnelytics offer is perfect for this book. And we really love the tool, and we really want to put it on the back end of this. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
What do you say? What do you got?
We're launching on March 17th. And I'm like, it's February 20th right now. Like, it's like, fuck.
That's ClickFunnels though for you right there. Like, holy cow.
Yeah, they didn't even send me the video or anything, like until literally the day I went through the funnel. I was like, oh, okay.
So that's how it looks.
So that's how it kind of panned out. Like, it was just the conversation nurtured, and we built a relationship. We ended up sending text messages back and forth, and then when the time was right and they had an offer that they wanted to put this with it happened.
Shout out Dave Woodward for being the absolute man.
Dave Woodward's awesome, man. He's a G. I like him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We had him on the podcast in season 1 too. I think he was one of our top 5, for sure top 10 interviews, but I think top 5. Yeah, I love Dan. Dave.
He's good dude.
Dave. So awesome, dude. Well, dude, this has been some really, really good information. What would you say has been like your biggest failure, or your biggest setback along the way with this whole journey of entrepreneurship? Whether it's Funnelytics related or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. That word that I use now that fulfills me also drives me crazy, which is evolution. Like, it's easy to stay in your comfort zone.
It's so easy to stay in your comfort zone. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I just need to go off on a little tangent here, guys. Your comfort zone will freaking kill you. It will kill all growth. It will kill all opportunity. It will brainwash you to believe that you don't actually need to go out there and do it. And I will say, there's a time in my life where I did not produce, I did not expand, I did not grow because I was so comfortable exactly where I was at, because I can make $20,000 a month working 3 hours a day, watching Netflix for 8 hours a day. And why would I move? Why would I change? You got to kill the comfort zone. All right, sorry, continue. I just had
totally. And the thing is, for me, that's been the biggest thing, right? It's just evolving as a person, as an entrepreneur, right? Evolving from the marketer mindset to a CEO mindset, thinking about things that you don't normally think about when you're just thinking about marketing, right? Marketing, like building funnels and sending traffic and getting your message out there, building all, like, that's marketing centric stuff. When you're growing and you have a multi-million-dollar business and you have a full team, you can't stay there because it hinders the growth of your business. But the problem is taking that leap towards being a CEO, meaning it's thinking about leadership, thinking about team, thinking about operations, thinking about all of the other aspects of business, and evolving and staying in that box, even though your comfort box is over here. It's hard. It's hard to make that leap, and
Yeah.
it takes time, right? And then you got to figure out, who do I trust enough to take over that thing that I'm so comfortable in, that I know I can do almost better than anyone in the world. It's like, who do I trust enough, because I need to evolve over here, right? And for me, it's just it's always evolution, but with evolution comes, you know, massive growth, and you get to that next level. But like, one of the things that I've learned about is there is no such thing as a world where you don't have any problems. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Biggie said it, right? More money, more problems.
More
At the
money,
end of
more
the day,
problems.
at the end of the day, like, if you're making $100, you know, a day, you're gonna have $100 a day problems. You know, if you're making a 100 grand a month, you're gonna have $100,000 a month problems. If you're making $1 million a month, you're gonna have $1 million a month problems. If you're Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos making billions and billions and billions of dollars, guess what? You're gonna have $1 billion problems, which includes the government calling you, includes you having to show up in front of the SEC and doing all this shit, right? So like, it doesn't stop. Just keep that in mind. Like, you just evolve and you get better, and it's about keep rising, keep getting to that next level, right? And that's the scary part, but that's also the exciting part.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to understand, that as you grow, like, a lot of people want to be a millionaire, have $1 million business, like whatever. Like, you absolutely have to evolve with it. Like, you yourself have to like develop into the person and evolve into the person that can handle those type of things. Because, you know, I see some comments from even people I know and that I like as people or whatever. They're fine people that are like, oh, Mr. Russell Brunson up there running ClickFunnels, you know, thinking he's all blah, blah. I could run in ClickFunnels, or, you know, put me in it. I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea absolutely at all of what you're talking about. The only reason Russell can run that the way that he does is because he was like, he built it. Like, he went and he went through the phases of evolution. And, you know, it's a reason that companies that hire CEOs typically hire people that have already been CEOs or have had a CEO type role. Why? And they're not hiring from down lower. Why? Because they want to hire people that are ready for that place. And I think that's why it's so important to, one of the things, I think the biggest shift that I have learned is that when you yourself first level up, you figure out how to put the pieces together at that level, right? And so if you're struggling, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to scale on my business. Rather than looking at your business, and this is a general rule, obviously sometimes it is problems with your business, like you got to fix some things. For sure. But oftentimes it's, if I turn that and make it internal and look at myself and I go, what things do I need to change about me? And then you make the shift, then all of a sudden you see your business and specifically the problem that you're facing in a different light. And now, rather than being like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this, you go, oh, now I know how to do this to this, and things will explode and you'll get to the next level because your mind now knows how to figure it out. Now you know how to operate like that. I mean, Russell Brunson and I could look at the exact same problem, and it could be a marketing problem, right? Well, why does Russell know how to fit the pieces together and make it work, even if he had the exact same resources that I did? Well, because he's done it, because he himself has leveled up and become the person that knows how to view opportunity or view problems through that lens. And I think, you know, that's why personal development and mindset is so important.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, man. I totally agree.
Love it. Well, dude, I appreciate your time. We're coming up on our time here. What advice would you have to the person out there that is getting started, that, you know, I don't know, maybe they're looking to do a course, maybe they have an agency and they're thinking about doing a software. They're in the early stages of entrepreneurship, 1 to 3 years, things like that. And they're trying to find their thing. They're trying to find their thing that's like, okay, like, I know that I'm passionate about helping people, or I know that I'm passionate about building businesses, but I just don't really know what I want to do yet. What advice would you have for them to kind of take that next step of figuring that out?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is re-listen to this interview and think about like your 4 things, right? Like, what truly fulfills you, what truly gets you excited in the mornings. And like, cause you're going to quit if you don't. Like, this is not easy. I'm going to be the first to tell you that building a business and like leveling up, like, when you go from $10,000 a month problems to 100 to $1 million, like it's not easy, and it doesn't get easier. It gets more taxing. You have more shit to worry about. So you've got to like truly understand what fulfills you, because you're going to quit and you're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to be done in a year or 2 years if you aren't doing something that truly fulfills you at the end of the day. Like the reason you're not going to quit this podcast is because it fulfills you. It gets you excited, right? And eventually this podcast will be the platform for you to grow a multi-million dollar business that, and it's going to explode because you're not going to quit, because it fulfills you. So that's the very first thing that everyone has to understand, is figure out what fulfills you. Like, what are those 4 core boxes for yourself? And then take action. Like, I started a Mandarin school in 2012. Like, I've never been to China. Like, I don't know why I started a Mandarin school, but I did. And then I started a language app, and then I started an agency, and then I started Funnelytics. And like, it just take action. There is no right or wrong. Like, life doesn't just start and end with this one idea that you've got. Like, you're going to have a lot, you're going to keep doing things, you're going to keep pushing, but just like ClickFunnels started 5 years ago, but Russell started a potato gun DVD before, and then he started other info products and all of this other stuff, right? And like, it led to ClickFunnels eventually, right? So that's like, know what fulfills you, and then just take action and just do it. Like, as long as it fulfills your boxes, just do it. Just keep doing it and keep pushing. You're going to learn, you're going to get better, and eventually you're going to find that one thing that you're like, I'm going to keep pushing this one for a while.
I love it. I love it. Dude, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here. Where can people find out more about you, Funnelytics, stuff like that?
Funnelytics.io. If you want to sign up for our free mapping tool and play around with Funnelytics, so go over there. Head over to mikaeldia.com if you want to learn more about running an agency and joining our community called Funnel Momentum. We got like 22,000 people in there. So just check mikaeldia.com and funnelytics.io.
All right, man. Well, dude, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here. Guys, we're going to link both of those down below. So you'll have them if you're watching on audio or video. Check those out. Go check out Funnelytics. It's an awesome software. I love it. Russell Brunson loves it enough to promote it to literally tens of thousands of people that will be going through everything. So go through and check that out. All right, man. I got some rapid fire questions for you. We like to wrap up with here just to kind of make things interesting and get to know you a little bit better. Sound good?
All right, I'm not ready, but let's do it.
All right, first, they're easy until the very end. Then the last one's like this deep question. You're going to be like, holy crap, what are you asking me? What's your favorite airline to fly?
Air Canada, I guess, but not really. They all suck.
Okay, what's your favorite one that you've flown on?
I mean, because I'm Canadian, I'm going to go with Air Canada. It's terrible, but I'm going to go with Air Canada.
All right, cool. What's a bucket list item that you have not done yet in your life that you want to do?
Build $1 billion company.
$1 billion company. Channeling your inner ClickFunnels or inner Russell there. All right. $1 billion company. If you were to drop like $250,000 or $500,000 and like just splurge, what would you be spending that money on? Is it like are you a car guy? Do you have a favorite car that you want, or a house person, or like where are you gonna drop just a stupid amount of money on something?
And I'm literally just splurging.
You're just splurging. You're not being smart with it. Like, someone writes you a check, they're like, here's $500,000. Like, go buy your dream car or your dream house.
Probably an Aston Martin.
Really? That's what it'd be? All right. I feel that. If you ever had the ability to go to outer space, would you go to outer space? You get to come back.
Yeah, probably.
You have to think about it though.
I'd have to think about it. That's an interesting question. Probably. How long is the trip?
A week.
Yeah, sure. Let's say yes. Somebody would have to present me the offer, and then I'd have to really think about it. But then I probably would do it, actually.
Nice. All right. If someone wanted to Dream 100 you, what type of gift would they get you? Or what are you into?
That's a very good question. Man.
What are topics that you're into, or like things that give someone an idea?
Yeah, like anything related to business books is something that I'm always into. I mean, I love reading, so books. Let's say books.
Go with books. All right. Last question for you. Fast forward to the end of your life. Now, keep in mind, we ask everybody on the podcast this, so everybody's faced with the same dilemma. So fast forward to the end of your life. You're on your deathbed. All your influence, money, success, it's all gone. However, every single person that you have touched and impacted in your life, either directly or indirectly, you get to leave them with one final message. What is that message?
Don't follow what everybody else tells you. Don't let the world dictate what you do with your life, and don't assume that because society or the people around you say that this is how it's supposed to be, or they've kind of done it a specific way, that that's the way that it needs to be done. Think different. Think beyond that.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Mikael, how's it pronounced? Mikael. I got it right the first time. Look at that. Guys, I will get it down sometime. I'm the worst with names. Mikael, man, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, guys, as always, hustle, hustle. God bless. Do not be afraid to think different, because those of us that think different are going to be the ones that change the world. I love you all, and I will see you guys on the next episode. All of Mikael's stuff is down below. Check him out, and we will see you guys next time. Take it easy, fam. Peace.
Peace.